I want to show you something beautiful today. A simple habit that can keep you standing tall, steady, and full of life even in your 80s. Stick with me. You'll see why it matters. Let me take you on a little journey. A few years ago, while visiting a small fishing village in Japan, I met an older gentleman, 82 years old. He wasn't in a gym. He wasn't lifting weights. He was simply squatting by his boat, scrubbing the wooden boards with his bare hands. When he finished, he stood up slowly but with remarkable stability. No wobbling, no hesitation, just strength, balance, and grace. I remember thinking, how does a man his age move like that? The answer wasn't supplements. It wasn't some secret workout program. It was the way he lived his daily life. You see, in his village, squatting, standing, kneeling, and bending weren't exercises. They were just part of ordinary living. Over time, those small, repeated movements became a quiet form of training. And the result? A body that remained strong and resilient even into his 80s. This made me pause because here in America, we often think strength comes from lifting dumbbells or running on a treadmill. But science shows something fascinating. The body doesn't always need intense workouts to stay strong. What it truly needs is consistency. Simple movements done every day. Doctors even call this functional fitness. The kind of strength that helps you rise from a chair without help, climb stairs with ease, or bend down topic up your grandchild. And here's the surprising part. These habits don't just protect your muscles. They also keep your brain engaged and your spirit energized. When you move with intention, your body sends signals that sharpen balance, coordination, and even mood. In other words, daily movement is not just about avoiding weakness. It's about staying fully alive. So, as we begin exploring these insights together, I invite you to think about your own daily movements. Where do you find strength in the ordinary? And what simple habits might be quietly shaping your future? Stick around because the final part of today's story uncovers a gift far greater than muscle or movement. It's something that touches the heart. And if this message speaks to you, your like or subscribe isn't just support. It's helping spread a little more light into the world. The first secret, the simple habit that protects your leg strength. The hidden decline. We don't notice this story begins in a quiet corner of a Japanese home. Haruko, 78 years old, starts her morning the same way every day, sitting on a soft cushion on the floor with a warm cup of tea in her hands. It looks so simple, almost ordinary. Yet in that daily ritual, her body is doing something remarkable. As she lowers herself down, her thighs, hips, spine, even her toes are all called into action. There's no gym, no fancy equipment, just the natural movement of getting down to the floor and rising back up again. It's the kind of exercise hidden in plain sight. Now, if you live in the West, you know we almost never sit on the floor anymore. We have couches, recliners, dining chairs, comfortable, yes, but they ask nothing of our muscles. Over time, that convenience robs us of strength and flexibility without us even noticing. The floor slowly disappears from our daily lives. At first, it seems harmless. After all, who really needs to sit on the floor when a soft armchair is right there? But there's the catch. Every time we avoid getting down low, we stop practicing the most basic movements our bodies were designed to do. And little by little, we lose them. Strength fades. Balance becomes shaky. Confidence slips away. The scariest part, it happens so gradually that by the time we notice the freedom we once had feels out of reach. I'll never forget Robert, a retired mailman I once met. For 30 years, he walked miles every day with strong legs and a steady stride. He thought he was doing everything right. But one afternoon, while bending to tie his shoe, Robert froze. He couldn't stand back up without grabbing the wall. For him, it was a shock. For many of us, it's a wake-up call. Walking forward isn't the same as moving freely. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat down on the floor and stood back up? Just picture it. If you tried it right now, how do you think your body would respond? And I'll be honest with you. When I tried this myself, my knees protested. My lower back ached. I thought, maybe this just isn't for me anymore. But after just a few days, the stiffness began to fade. The pain softened. My posture felt taller, my balance steadier. What felt like a challenge at first became a quiet gift. Science explains why walking keeps our large muscles active, but it doesn't train the smaller stabilizers that protect us from falling. It doesn't stretch the hips or test the balance needed to lower ourselves down and rise again. That's why cultures like Japan are so fascinating. Daily life there still involves kneeling, sitting on tatami mats, reaching into low-cup boards. Those small, everyday actions keep bodies supple and resilient even in later years. Physical therapists often say that the ability to rise from the floor is one of the strongest indicators of long-term mobility. Think of it as a 2-minute insurance policy you can cash in every single day. And the best part is it doesn't require an hour-long class or expensive equipment. Just 2 minutes every morning. Sit down, stand up, that's it. Because really, this isn't about exercise. It's about independence. It's about being able to get up when you fall, to move without fear, to keep saying yes to life a little longer. So maybe tomorrow morning before you pour that first cup of coffee, try it 2 minutes on the floor. It just might be the simplest, most powerful habit you can add to your day. Most people never hear about these small but powerful practices until it's too late. And if this insight already has you thinking, yes, this is what I need, then give yourself one more gift. Subscribe, stay with me, and let's unlock the next secret together. You'll see why it matters more than you think. The second secret, the conversation between the brain and the body. Sometimes the simplest, quietest moments in life are the ones that keep us strong. Take Naomi, for example. She's 84 years old, and every afternoon she sits cross-legged on the floor shelling edamame beans while chatting with her granddaughter. To anyone watching, it looks like nothing more than a sweet family scene. But without realizing it, Naomi is giving her body and mind a workout, stretching her hips, using her balance, keeping her coordination sharp. Her brain and muscles are having a quiet but powerful conversation. Science has started to confirm what many traditional cultures already knew. In 2016, a group of researchers in Kyoto studied older adults who still moved and sat on the floor regularly. The results were fascinating. Their memory was on average 12% better, and their emotional stability was 9% higher than those who avoided the floor. That's not a small difference. It's the kind of edge that can determine whether someone feels vibrant and confident or foggy and withdrawn. Why does this happen? It comes down to communication. When you get down and up from the floor, your body has to coordinate constantly. Your inner ear tells your brain where you are in space. Your eyes scan to keep balance. Your feet and legs adjust to hold you steady. It's like running a rehearsal for the orchestra of your body. Every section needs to stay in tune. And when that rehearsal happens daily, the brain stays sharper, the body more agile, and confidence grows. I think of Mr. Tanaka, a man I once met in Osaka. He was 89 years old and still knelt every evening before his family altar. It wasn't just a ritual of faith. It was proof to himself that he could still trust his body. That small act gave him a dignity and independence that no pill could ever replace. The lesson is simple but profound. Staying close to the floor doesn't just train muscles. It keeps the dialogue between your brain and body alive. And when that dialogue is strong, you feel more awake, more capable, more you are yourself. And this brings us to the next question. If the floor can keep us so live, what happens when fear of falling, fear of injury starts creeping in? That's what we'll explore in the next part. Next up, the third, the gentle path back to the floor, laying the first plank. One of the biggest mistakes we make as we get older is thinking that exercise has to be big, heavy, or complicated. But the truth is, it doesn't. Sometimes the most powerful changes start with something as simple as sitting down on a soft mat in a quiet corner of your home for just 2 minutes a day. No pressure, no rigid routines, just a gentle return to the floor. Imagine this. You sit down however is comfortable, maybe cross-legged, or with your legs stretched out in front of you. That's it. For 2 minutes, you're reminding your body of a movement pattern it once knew so well. Then, when it's time to stand, you give yourself permission to use support, a chair, a wall, even the edge of the sofa. Each time you do that, you're reconnecting your brain and your muscles, retraining the delicate system of balance and strength that protects you from falls. 2018 study out of Tokyo found that older adults who practiced standing up from the floor just 10 times a day had noticeably better balance. An impressive 18% better, in fact, and their leg strength improved by 14%. That's not just theory. That's measurable change. Let me ask you this. If tomorrow you spent just 2 minutes sitting down and standing back up, how do you think your body would react? It might feel tough at first, but give it a few days and you'll start to notice the difference. And all from a habit that takes just minutes. Think about the ways you could bring this into your life naturally. folding laundry on the floor instead of on edible, sitting on the ground while tending to your plants, or like Hiroshi, an 81-year-old fisherman I once met in Japan who still kneels on the floor to sort his fishing tools every evening. For him, it's not just about exercise, it's about joy, independence, and staying connected to who he is. And this leads to one of the biggest gifts we often overlook as we age. It's not just about physical health, but about connection. In Japan, movements like kneeling and sitting on tatami mats are deeply woven into the culture. These are moments that help older people gather with family and community, feeling that they are still a vital part of something bigger. I remember the story of Clara, a 76-year-old grandmother I once met. She started by sitting on a yoga mat for a few minutes each morning. At first, it felt awkward, but soon she discovered she could comfortably play Lego on the floor with her grandson without worrying about how she'd stand up again. For her, it wasn't just exercise. It was reclaiming moments of joy she thought were gone forever. That's why I believe the floor doesn't have to be a place where we fall down. It can be a place where we rise up. Every small step builds into something bigger, like planks forming a bridge. And when you dare to lay that very first stone, you open the door to possibilities you may have never imagined. Every week, more and more of us are building this little community where we share stories, wisdom, and habits that truly make life richer as the years go by. If that feels like something you'd like to be part of, hit like, hit subscribe, and join us. Now let's step into the next part. It might just shift the way you see your own journey. The fourth insight, the power of community and connection, passing it down when generations sit together. As we grow older, one truth often goes unnoticed. Our legs don't just carry our bodies, they carry our connections. When they stay strong enough to bend, kneel, or sit low, we remain strong enough to stay close to friends, to family, to traditions. In Japan, you see this clearly. During spring festivals, grandparents sit cross-legged on mats sharing food with children. In evening tea ceremonies, neighbors kneel side by side, pouring tea with quiet grace. These rituals aren't just about culture. They're about belonging. And none of them would be possible without legs strong enough to carry people down to the floor. Take Mrs. Sato, an 82-year-old from Kyoto. Each week, she joins her neighbors to cook seasonal dishes while sitting on mats. She once said, "It's not just cooking, it's being seen. It's knowing that if I didn't show up, someone would notice." Her words remind us that the strength of her legs doesn't just keep her moving. It keeps her woven into the circle of life around her. Science confirms this. Socially active older adults have up to 30% lower risk of depression. Not only because of conversation, but because their bodies are strong enough to show up and take part. And this truth extends into the family. Picture a grandfather cross-legged on the carpet folding a paper crane while his granddaughter imitates his hands. Or a grandmother kneeling beside her grandson as he presses the last Lego brick into a tower. These aren't just passing moments. They happen because strong legs allow grandparents to come down to a child's world. Strong legs create strong bridges between wisdom and curiosity, memory and imagination, patience and play. A grandparent sitting on the floor silently tells the child, "I'm still here with you. I can enter your world." Even science echoes this wisdom. Playful movement together lowers stress hormones while boosting oxytocin, the bonding hormone. In other words, your body is wired to create joy and connection when you move with those you love. A therapist once said, "Children don't remember the toys you buy them. They remember how you sat with them, laughed with them, and made them feel safe." That's the real legacy. Moments of closeness, not possessions. So the next time a child asks you to come down and play, take it as more than play. See it as an invitation to keep your spirit young, to nurture connection, to prove that love has no age. Because in the end, the power of your legs isn't just about walking tall. It's about staying close. Close to your people, your community, your family. Strong legs don't just keep you moving. They keep you connected. You know, as we've been talking about this Japanese habit, it's easy to see why it matters so much. It isn't really about resisting age or pretending we're still young. Instead, it's about waking up the strength that's been inside us all along. Every time you sit down and stand back up, every time you bend toward the floor and rise again, you're sending a quiet message to yourself. I am still capable. I am still growing. Doctors often say that the biggest predictor of independence as we age is leg strength. The simple ability to rise from a chair without help. That's not just about muscles. That's about dignity, confidence, and freedom. And when you think about it, the floor is no longer an obstacle we avoid. It becomes the very foundation we push against, the ground that helps us rise over and over again. I've seen people in their 80s and 90s who still practice this daily. They don't do it to prove something, but because it gives them energy to keep enjoying life, whether that's playing with their grandkids, gardening, or just being able to get out of bed without fear. That's the quiet power of consistency. So maybe strength at its core isn't just for us alone. It's something we maintain so we can keep lifting others, keep showing up for the people we love, and keep giving what only we can give. If this message touched your heart, I'd be grateful if you liked this video or subscribed. Your support helps this channel grow. And part of what we do here is give back. So as we close, remember this. Every time you choose to move, you're not just keeping your body alive, you're keeping your spirit alive too. Stay strong, stay kind, and never forget the strength you nurture today will be the gift you carry forward to yourself and to the